Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be reviewing the Cyc Plus G1 GPS bike computer. In the not so distant past, cheap cycling computers were limited to wired designs that required magnets on your wheels and carefully placed sensors. That's no longer the case as GPS technology has become more common. That brings us to today's review, which is the Cyc Plus G1 mini bike computer. This is one of the most affordable GPS computers on the market today and requires no connections or sensors. In terms of packaging, it's really simple. You just have a white cardboard box, illustration of the actual computer right on there, and basic information about what's in the box and the specs right on the back. Now, Cyc Plus is actually a pretty popular company that's done a lot of cycling computers and accessories. We've reviewed their other computer, the M1, with the G1 being a smaller version of that. Now I'm going to go ahead and take it out of the box and we'll go over the specs. Retail price on this is $29.99, so very cheap for a GPS computer. It has a 2-inch FSTN screen. It's IPX6 rated, so it's definitely rated for wet weather riding. It has a Garmin style mount, which is really nice to see on a more affordable computer, so you can use this with a variety of mounts. And it has a 600 milliamp battery with a micro USB recharging capability. You have a 10-hour runtime with this computer, and it doesn't allow any sensor connections to simply use the GPS to determine speed and distance. In terms of what comes in the box, pretty simple. You get the computer, as you can see. You get a little handlebar mount with a rubber pad on the back. It's an O-ring style mount, so you get two different sizes, one longer than the other, so it can wrap on your stem or handlebar. You get the micro USB charging cable to recharge the device. And you also get a little instruction manual in here for getting started and understanding the interface. Now let's take a look at the weight of the computer. So the head unit by itself, that comes in at 54 grams, so quite light. And then the simple handlebar mount with the larger O-rings, that's an additional 10 grams. Before we get the setup on the bike, let's take a look at the fit and finish. It's a simple square profile with a screen right in the middle. You have minimal branding, just Cyc Plus on the bottom, and a glossy screen. So this will reflect trees and things around you, which is pretty common for GPS computers. It's a plastic black body and fairly thick as well. There's no beveling on the edges, so it just looks a little bit bulky. You have the Garmin mount right on the bottom, and again, really nice feature to see. This allows you to use a lot of third-party mounts instead of being limited to proprietary mounts only from one company. You have the micro USB charging port right underneath here with a thick rubber gasket to prevent water intrusion. It'd be nice to see USB Type-C, but that's pretty slow for a lot of companies to adopt. Otherwise, you have two physical buttons on the right side. They have this nice rubber texture to it, so they have good tactile feel. You simply hold or press the top button to turn it on, and then cycle through the display options. The bottom button is the config button, so if you hold it, it'll go through a configuration menu, while a single press will cycle through 3 different pages on the computer. You'll also note that the backlight is always on, and you can actually see the lighting elements there. So it's a little bit uneven, same feature that we noticed with the Cyc Plus M1, which this is based off. Now let's go over the setup of the Cyc Plus G1 computer. You can see I have the handlebar mount on my stem. I highly recommend getting an out front mount from a third-party vendor. You can see that would put the computer way out here in front of your stem rather than being back here. So it's a better viewing angle. Otherwise, this mount does work really well. You can see it's just 2 O-rings and it holds it pretty firmly. This is a generic Garmin mount too, so you can mount other devices here or use other Garmin mounts with this computer. Now, as soon as you have it on, by just pressing the top button, you're immediately ready to ride. You have speed on top, the time, distance. You have 3 different pages. So if you press the bottom button, so there's only 2 buttons here, the bottom button will cycle through the page. You can also show total ride time, total odometer, so this is accumulated values. And then you press it again to see the current time and the current altitude. So very simple. You can't connect sensors, you can't really do much otherwise. There's no customization, there's no app, there's no Bluetooth connection. You can't upload your rides to Strava. So it's a very simple computer design either for commuters or riders who just want real-time data. The top button here will cycle through 3 options. Right now you can see this little now label. This is the real-time speed. Press it again, you'll see the average speed, and then again, the maximum speed. The top is always the speed, and the bottom two are the variable values depending on which page you're on. You can't start or stop an activity, as it doesn't really record rides. It just accumulates the speed, distance, time. So as soon as you turn it on, this time and distance display will start accumulating. If you want to reset it, you have to power it off and power it on again. Now, configuration-wise, very simple. Obviously, there's not a lot of options here. So you hold the bottom button, enter the configuration menu. Now, this is one of the big side effects or downsides of this style, segmented style display. You don't really have a label here. So C4 indicates you're on the 4th configuration page. There is no C1, 2, or 3. They really just modified the Cyc Plus M1 computers software and just eliminated the pages that didn't make sense. So on this page, this is the little indicator for the GMT time. So this is hours relative to GMT. If you want to change it, you press the top button. It'll start blinking. Press the bottom button to change the value, and you can just cycle through plus or minus 12. And you just have to look up your time zone, pick the right one. Once you're happy with the value, you press the top button to confirm. It'll stop blinking. We'll go to the next page, which is C6, not C5. Again, because C5 is probably a feature that's not applicable here. This one's a little more obvious. You have miles per hour and feet, so you can change the display units between imperial or metric. To change it, press the top button, start blinking. Press the bottom button to cycle through the options, and you can see it says kilometers and meters. So pick the one you want, press the top button, I'll stop blinking. Bottom button again to cycle through the next page. So this is the factory recovery option, which we'll not do now. We'll go to the next page, C8. Again, not labeled, but this is the total odometer. So if you have another computer and you want to track your total mileage, you can transfer it onto here. So to change it, press the top button. You'll see it'll start blinking, so you can change each digit by using the bottom button. A little bit tedious, but then top button again to go to the next digit, and again next digit until you go through all of the available options. So once that's set, you can press it again and it'll cycle back to the first option. Again, really confusing as you don't have C1, C2, C3, or C5. To exit the configuration menu, hold the bottom button again, and you're ready to ride. So really simple. As far as riding, you can change the page display, or you could change the real-time, average, or the max speed display. So it's a simple computer, but very limited in features. So now let's do a comparison between the Cyc Plus G1 and other computers on the market. We have a really good selection here from other computers from Cyc Plus, Brian Bontrager, as well as Shanren. Starting with Cyc Plus versus Cyc Plus, we can compare the bigger brother, the M1, versus the G1. With the M1, it's a $50 computer. It's a 3-inch screen, so you can see they simply chopped the screen in half to make the G1. It's $50, but you get a lot more features. You can connect a cadence, heart rate, or power meter even with these little 3 data fields here. The larger screen also provides better visibility as you have more data fields visible. Otherwise, very similar interface. They've copied a lot of the same design, so you can cycle through multiple pages here to show gradient, time, odometer, altitude, as well as show the real-time, median, average, or the current data for your speed, which is a nice feature. Configuration is also very similar. So it has the same kind of confusing configuration menu. So you can see where the G1, they kind of cut out the pages that didn't make sense as you couldn't connect sensors. The Cyc Plus M1 has all the pages, so C2, C3, C4, C5, and it's a little hard to understand until you've read the manual or you look at the little icons to indicate it. It would have been nice if they had text, but otherwise really similar. And once you understand what's going on, it's not that hard. So same interface, you hold it to click out. You have 3 buttons with the M1 as it has more features. So if you're looking for more features and sensors and still want a budget price, the M1 is a great option. Otherwise, the G1 has a nice, more compact form factor. Now, at the higher price points, you can also get a lot more features. This is the Brighton Rider 15 Neo, a $70 computer. So more compact than the Cyc Plus, and again, you can connect all your sensors except for a power meter. It has a different interface style, so you can see rather than having this grid layout, it has a 4 data field design. So you can actually display 4 things, so 2 on the bottom, 1 in the middle, and then the top, With the higher price, you can also access the Brighton app. So where the Cyc Plus G1, you can't do any connectivity or customization. The Brighton has an app that lets you actually adjust the data fields a little bit, as well as connect and sync rides to Strava. So something that the G1 doesn't have, but the M1 does. So if you actually want to upload start and stop rides, do different laps, you definitely want to look at the Cyc Plus or the more expensive Brighton computers. What's also interesting is we've done the Brighton Ride Time Elite. It's a super compact computer. You can see how much smaller it is. Smaller display. No GPS here, but you can connect power meter, heart rate, and all the sensors you need. You can't upload any rides, obviously, as there's no GPS signal. But it's a great real-time computer, and compared to the Ride Time, it's a lot more compact. The big downside of the Ride Time is that the mount style is a proprietary mount. So rather than the Garmin mount, you have to buy Bontrager's Blender mounts or their other accessories. So it's a lot more limited. It also has a battery, like a watch style battery, compared to a rechargeable, USB rechargeable battery, which is a little bit odd to see. But again, the reward of that is a lot more compact. The interface is more difficult to use though. You have a 2-button interface, but you have to press and hold in different screens, so a little more hard to navigate. The Shanren is a computer that's pretty interesting, $90. You can connect your Raz Pro. A lot more data fields, even though it's not that much bigger. You have a sleeker profile, more aerodynamic as it has a kind of beveling, and the integrated battery is concealed. Again, Garmin mounts for both. The Miles obviously offers more features. Again, you get app configurability, start and stopping rides. It even has audible beeps, which most affordable computers actually don't have. None of the computers shown here actually do, except for the Rider 320. And then if you're wondering what the difference is between a $30 computer and a $130 computer, it's going to be the feature, and the screen. Where this is a segmented screen, where everything has a predefined grid. With more expensive ones, you actually have a high density pixel display, which lets you do these overlays, have multiple menus rather than being stuck with just these positions. And what that means is you don't have to have these confusing config menus, so like C4, C5. With the Brighton and more expensive computers, you can simply pop into the menu and you can actually have full text display with labels and icons, so much easier to navigate, but obviously more expensive. So it depends on what your writing style is and what features you're looking for. Now let's go over the pros and cons for the Cyc Plus G1 computer. What we like about it is the budget price. At $30, it's one of the most affordable GPS computers on the market. It also has a easy to read 3-item grid layout that works well on the road. And finally, you can install it and set it up in under a minute, so really easy to use and operate. Some of the cons for the computer is the bulky profile. It's very thick for what it is, and you're not able to connect any sensors to it, so you can't see your RPM, you can't see your heart rate monitor, and other additional information that's pretty useful when you're cycling. And finally, the configuration menu can be really confusing. It lacks proper labeling, so everything's either see something without actual labels or proper graphics. So without reading the user manual, you might be confused. Taking everything into account, we'd give the G1 computer a 7.5 out of 10. It's a very basic GPS computer. So if you're looking for simple speed and distance readout and want the simplicity of a GPS computer, then the G1 is a great option. Thanks for watching this review. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can see more content from us on our website at thesweetcyclist.com, as well as follow us on Instagram at thesweetcyclist. This is The Sweet Cyclist reminding you to enjoy the ride.